Good morning. Good morning. I am Mweia Elias, founder of Empower Nutrition, and I'm so pleased to have with me here today Miss Tamara Monlouis.
Hey, how are you? Super excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited for our discussion today because we have a bit of a history in working together, but we are collaborating on a new project, which I would like for you to share with us a little bit. So, Empower Nutrition, we recently relaunched our Reset and Recharge program, which is a program designed to help you reset your habits around eating, exercise, as well as your mindset around health. So it's a really good starting point if you have been ignoring your health for a while, or you really need to make some changes but have been struggling to do so on your own. So with this relaunch, we created a 6-week course. And Tamara called me up and says, I'm in. I need a reset. So, Tamara, can you share with us what was your motivation for
Yeah,
wanting to take part in this reset and recharge
100%.
challenge?
Sure. So I turned 50 in April, and I'm like, oh my God.
You
So I
turned
want,
50 or you're going to turn 50?
I'm going to turn 50 in April. So I'm going
Yeah.
to turn 50. So I am, I was just like, you know what? I want to do this in a way that makes sense. I want to do this. And we've worked together so much before, and you've been like super helpful in helping me to shift, how I eat, how I see food, managing weight, all that stuff has been really good. So I was just like, I saw it and I was just like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to add that too. So I'm running a campaign. I have I have a digital marketing agency. So I'm now running a campaign, 50 days to 50. I'm doing business stuff, personal stuff. It's all nuts. So this is a part of it. So I'm doing the 40-day challenge with the reset and recharge, as well as I am doing a 30-day Bikram yoga, Pilates, and Yin yoga challenge. So it's like 30 days of one of those exercises every day. So while running a business, I'm just saying, it's a good idea in theory.
Yeah, but you're doing it. So you chose to challenge yourself to walk into 50 in your full power, in bringing out your best self
Yeah,
and really pushing yourself to enter 50 strong.
yeah,
Yes.
definitely. That's what
Excellent.
it is.
Yes. So we are really excited to be part of your journey and to support you along the way. Okay, great. So you actually just finished phase 1 of the 6-week challenge, about 40 days. So phase 1 focused on cleansing. So it was 2 weeks of meal plans and activities that encourage your body and mind to cleanse. And by cleanse, people get scared of that word and say, oh, we don't need to cleanse. But really, it's an opportunity to give your body a bit of a break from the usual things that we tend to bombard it with, and clean up the diet a little bit, really boost up foods that are going to encourage your body to fight inflammation, to boost your metabolism, help your body to release things that it no longer needs and is not serving it. So I want you to share with us, walk us through how this experience has been for you in your phase 1 cleanse. I know we would have spoken about it, and there is a bit of a journey. So start from day 1 and walk us through your experience so far.
Yeah, day one, I mean, it was like no coffee. So, I mean, I was just like, all right, I could do this. And then I do a podcast. I got up, I drank my lemon water, and I was just like, all right, I got this. I got this. I did my podcast, and then I went back to bed. I did not got this. I was like, I don't got this. And I mean, it was rough. It was the caffeine withdrawal. It was the detoxing. It was just kind of everything, So my body was just like, man, I had the worst headache. So I just needed to pause. I needed to take a moment and pause, and just like I laid down most of that day. because it was super rough. But then like the next day, like I also like purged a lot, right? So it was just like my body was just like, let's release all this stuff. So there was a lot of bathroom activity. And then my skin was breaking out right before I did started the reset. So I started like again, like by day 2, what I noticed right away was that I wasn't as inflamed, even so I was having a lot of like cheese and stuff. It wasn't as inflamed. It almost started to feel like it was just like subsiding, right? Which was
calming down. Yeah.
calming down. So I was just like, okay, cool. I was just like in like day 1, you know what I mean? Like I'm like, that's crazy, but you know, all right.
Your skin looks amazing, by the way, I must say.
Thank you. So yeah, no, so it's definitely been getting like better and better and better. So day one was really, really rough. So, but I also wanted to kind of, you guys gave a lot of great detail. I love that this is now in Teachable. I can watch the videos all the way through. So you guys gave a lot of great detail as to what to expect, what not to expect. So it was an opportunity to really just kind of, just ease my body into it. Day 2, I felt better. But I had to step outside, go outside, do some networking activities. I had a training, I had a few things. I felt better, but I also, when I got back home, I was tired and I just had to relax. So I could feel my body going through the detox motions, right? And it was, the coffee was heavy. I'm not a meat eater, so I didn't really have to detox so much from that. I don't really do dairy, but it was just all the other things that I was consuming that was probably just really bad, So I started to feel better the Tuesday, but it was really about just relaxing. Then I started to go through like the emotional side of the detox, which was
okay.
Yeah, that one was, that started in week 1 and really took its course when I started doing the yoga, right? Because then it started to things there were tight places of my body, and it was just like this double detox of like there was a tight place of my body, and as it releases, I feel like I want to like break down. And it was just like this moment of like, oh my gosh. So as the detox is happening, you're going through some and letting go some emotional stuff as well too. So it was just really interesting to watch the psychology of it, to watch my body adjust. And I also felt thirsty. So I was just like, my body was just like, you need water. It's like, even going into week 3, your body's telling you need water. I have to drink water, just go. So it was a part of the activity to drink water, but it was just like your body saying, you're going to die.
Your body's calling for it. Yes. Because you were drinking a lot of water already, but your body's like, yes.
Give me more water. So slowly I started to get over the caffeine piece of it, right?
So would you say that at this point, this is week 3, that your caffeine cravings are gone?
My caffeine cravings are gone. And so I know in week 3, I can start back having coffee, right? But I didn't start back today. All right, just do it a little bit.
This is huge for you. I know how big a deal this is for you. So congratulations.
Coffee is out, and I'll drink it. I'm not giving it up forever by any means. But the coffee there's a ritual, right? So there's the thing, and I have the mixer, and it foams up, and I have my oat creamer, and I've got all the things that are exciting. And you're like, you can have black coffee. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not giving myself. I need to.
So coffee for you. Yeah, coffee for you is the routine of the making it and the smells and the foam and just sitting. So it's a routine. Yes. And I like that you acknowledge that, because sometimes coffee drinkers think that it's the actual coffee and they're going to die without drinking the actual coffee, without realizing that there's more of a emotional attachment to just the whole routine.
So it comes back to that Trinity attachment too, right? That warm belly feeling, right? So I started to pay attention to that, right? So that warm belly feeling is what you start missing during the detox. So I did I did some of the teas you recommended. I don't really love green tea, but I kind of threw it into the mix. I did the turmeric, mixed down. That was okay. So I was like, oh, it's that warm belly feeling. And then like week 2, you introduced apples, pumpkin, and cinnamon, and I was just like, there's that warm belly feeling. Between that and sweet potatoes and kale, like that's my new BS. It's crazy how when you're not eating sugar, like cinnamon tastes like sugar to me now. Like I have
Yes.
some cinnamon, and cinnamon is like, I'm like, oh, this is sugar.
Yes, yes, and the natural sweetness of the fruits and the foods like the
Yep.
pumpkin actually jump out at you a lot more.
Yeah, like sweet
Yes.
potatoes are like gold. Sweet potatoes are like, that's my new best friend. I love them before, but it was just like you throw a sweet potato in the oven and then you start adding layering vegetables on top of it, right? So it's just like roasting stuff and the garlic and the thyme and the sea salt and all these flavors, and the olive oil just lends to all these crazy flavors that you're like, oh my God, like what, throw a little lemon on that bad boy, some quinoa. Oof, I'm hungry right now.
Yes, you enjoyed it. So you weren't in misery for 2 weeks
No, I wasn't
of
in
eating
misery.
bland, boring food.
It was really good food, right? So I really try to maintain a plant-based diet. So I just really leaned into that, and you gave really great recipes. And then I just added more vegetables. I'm like, okay, cool. I can add some kale to this. I'm like, I can throw this in the oven. So I just added more vegetables, and my plate it didn't feel full, but it felt very hearty. So that again, I got that warm belly feeling, right? Because it was just like the quinoa was warm, this, the that. It was just perfect. Yeah, it was good food. It's good food, and I mean, like, yeah. One morning we had to do that. The day of no, just drinks, no eating.
Oh, right, the 24-hour fast. Yes.
That one it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be.
Okay.
I went to yoga. I got back. I juiced something, and then I had a smoothie. I went to bed super early that day. I was just like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
I'm not
Sleep is so underrated as a healer, We
I
think
went to bed.
sleep, okay, right. But
So,
sleep
such a
is when your
healer.
body
Yeah.
heals and restores and
Absolutely.
resets.
I slept more during the detox than I've been sleeping before, so I just give my body a
Mhm.
chance to rest. But that the day after, I woke up in the morning and I was like, all right, I'm gonna eat something, and I literally put some olive oil in a pot, cut up some zucchini, cut up some carrots, cut up some onions, stir fry it up, and just like and that was breakfast. It was just like, but it was just like all
But
these.
I'm sure your body was like, these are the best vegetables I've ever eaten.
Yeah, I was just like, what did carrots taste like? Carrots are so sweet. Like all these
Yeah.
things just have all these great flavors. And the more I started to feel like, okay, this sounds like I'm exaggerating, but on a cellular level, it feels like my cells would take in green stuff and be like, yeah, I'm like, I feel my cells replenishing. Just more mobility, less inflammation. I've been doing a lot of strength training before, and so now I'm just kind of doing more of that yoga. So the food is helping with get rid of that inflammation a lot, and so I'm not in as much. There's not as much tension in my legs, and so I feel all those differences as well too.
Oh, Tamara, there's so much good stuff that you're sharing with us. I just want to take a minute to unpack a couple things.
Yeah, for
One
sure.
is that, as you mentioned, you already follow a plant-based diet and a pretty clean diet. And so someone may wonder, well, why do you need to, cleanse? Because your diet is already pretty clean. Um, and so I think what's amazing with what you're sharing is that even though your day-to-day diet is pretty clean, it's plant-based, close to vegan, we'll say, right? Maybe not 100%, but very, very close to 100% vegan. Your body is still reaping so much benefit from this process, and I think that's so amazing because it's the stress, the tension, and the toxins that we accumulate in our day-to-day life come not just from our food, but from, the busyness of life and the stresses, and even with the what may be considered a great diet today, we're still exposed to so many toxins, right? Because, it's just the nature of the world that we're living in at this time, and the food industry and the way our foods are processed and treated. It sounds like your body was really thankful for this
Yeah,
this
100%.
opportunity to take a break, cleanse a bit.
Even with plant-based, there's a lot of processed stuff, right? And sometimes
Yeah.
it's easier to get a little bit of a processed thing. So I can't say it was like 100% clean all the time. You know what I mean? So I saw the opportunities. This was 100% clean. There was nothing processed. There were no cans. There were no, you know what I mean? So it was really just 100% clean, which is game changing. So now that really lends me to think, I'm like, all right, cool. I have to really balance how much of the processed stuff I am putting in,
Yeah.
my body, and really kind of balance that, because even with it being plant based, it's still, my body's like, yeah, get this out of me.
Something else that you mentioned, just in terms of combining the eating with the yoga and movement and sweating, and what really came out is just your body seems to be enjoying this as a release. So we've used the word reset, but I really love that word release, because you're allowing your body to release the tensions that is holding on to, and the food is complementing the movement in terms of releasing toxins, as you said, that started from day one for you. And we release toxins from our bowels, through our skin with sweat, and as I said, your skin is just glowing. And we release toxins in our urine. And so you are giving your body that space to release things that it's been holding on to, and your mind has joined the party. So
100%.
let's dive into that emotional mindset, or release. You mentioned some
Yeah.
things that come up for you. Anything you feel comfortable sharing in terms of maybe one thing mentally or emotionally that you realized you needed to release?
Yeah. So I definitely, Trinity like to call, I tote.
You put lens.
I stood feelings. I got total self-proclaimed, but it's something I work at. And so I guess sometimes if I don't allow myself that moment to go through the motions of the rebuttal of the tote of the da, 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 I then suppress it. So I've been maybe suppressing it, and so you start realizing like all the little things that happen, that what I'm saying, like conversations with family where you're like, oh, I didn't let that go. You know
Yeah,
what
that's right there. Right there.
I'm saying? So it's like one of those things where you're like, okay, cool. How can I let it go? But also coming to realizations too, right? So everything doesn't have to be resolved in a way that makes everybody feel warm and fuzzy.
Oh yeah, correct.
Me letting it go in a way where it's just like, okay, cool, this no longer pains me because I stored it in my body somewhere and it pains me. This no longer pains me. I'm still not messing with that person, but I've moved on. And then even along the way, like while this has been happening, I mean, two other things happened that were, I mean, a little bit personal and that kind of threw me emotionally. And I was able to, instead of moving into tote mode, I moved into, okay, this is what has been lined up for me, and here's what it is. And I have to move. It's just a distraction. If you get into the, you know what I'm saying, the emotions of it and play in that space, you're still doing the same thing. So it's really just about kind of moving past it in sooner and not letting it go. And then by like the end of the week, I was in a yoga class and she was leaving, and before she said namaste, she said, don't let anyone steal your peace. And for me, that was the lesson. And that moment, it was just like, I always say people are wild cards. So I understand that. So now I've added people are wild cards. Don't let anyone steal your peace, because them being a wild card has nothing to do with me. Right. So,
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
yeah. So it was just kind of leaning into that, and also just it made me, so letting go some of those emotions and all the things I've been thinking I had let go and, no longer tilting, but I was, just in my calves, I was carrying it. In my hips, I was carrying it, right? Because you start getting into, I'm getting into poses deeper, I'm getting into, as I do yoga, it's like deeper into my poses, things I wasn't able to do. You kind of hear, you go into a pose and you hear, crack, 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 crack. It's like all the, plop, plop. So it's like my body is in different stage, not old people cracking, but almost release cracking, where it's like, and
Yeah.
you go deeper. I mean, even yesterday I was doing some push-ups and I was just like, I don't know that I've ever gone this deep before. You know what I mean? So you feel
Push-ups, what?
yeah. I mean, I was on my knees. It wasn't like, it wasn't like, but it was still,
Hey, that still counts. Yeah.
I saw the range in it. So as you
Yeah. So you're
release,
increasing your range, increasing your depth, increasing
right.
release, because a lot of these holds in yoga, when you hold the position, you realize, oh, to hold it I'm actually tensing
Yeah.
versus allowing
Allowing,
and
right.
allowing my body
Exactly.
to
So there's a lot of that. So there's that moment of, you're falling out of a pose, but the idea is that you need to keep kicking. So when do you hit the point where you stop kicking? And so it's the alignment of those things. Don't stop kicking, and you're like, all right, cool. It's all the little adjustments now. I find,
yeah.
right? So it's a food adjustment. It's a this adjustment. It's a this adjustment, and then it's, how do I get back to this place of, and it's forced me to live in the moment. This forces you to really live in the moment. And so many times we're living in next week, the following week. Do we need to plan? I'm not saying don't plan, but it really forces you to be super self-aware and to live in the moment. And so, it's been interesting. And then as a part of the 50-day campaign last week, I was also recording friends and people I've worked with saying things about me in my life so over years. So that was another emotional layer to kind of, it's part of the business and part of the thing, but just to kind of hear how people think of you and what they see.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's this perspective that is almost narcissistic and humbling all at once. So that was another emotional side that, you're like, oh my God, like I didn't pay them to say this. So it's just like, oh, okay, like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So getting
Yeah.
the perspective of people's perspective of you. And, so it's this, so it's a lot of things.
Oh, what I love about that, Tamara, is that what I'm hearing is that this is such a holistic journey for you, this 50 days to 50. And a big part of transformation is for change to be lasting. We have to move beyond just the what, like what am I doing, the daily actions, or even the outcome, which might be, drop a few pounds, look better, feel better, get fitter. Those are great outcome goals. But in order for the change to last, one of the things I've learned over the years as a coach, as someone working in health transformation, the real nugget, that golden nugget that really allows change to sustain and be sustainable long term is really when we get to the identity of who am I? Who am I at this stage in my life? I look over the past, I see what I've done, I see what I've accomplished, I see who I've been, and when we bring it back to food, I've been an overeater, I've been a sugar craver, I've been there are all these identities that we have even around food and fitness. And now that you're making these changes, or I would say having these new experiences with food and with fitness, now bringing that into this new identity, this about to be 50 tomorrow. Who am I now? I'm someone who, enjoys food, but knows how to listen to my body and knows how to let go and not be attached to the coffee. I can enjoy the coffee without it being a crutch, So I love all of this. I love it.
Yeah, it's been interesting, and I think I was also telling you I have that bit of a cold feeling, right? So there's this weird cold feeling. I'm not cold, but like on the outside, I feel a little bit cold. So I think that's also a part of the detox that's happening. So it's a lot of, I did not anticipate that doing all these things together. It's the magic formula, but I didn't realize, I think I just never expected the emotional side, So that's been the side that's been like, oh, okay.
Yes, when you are flowing with it, you're allowing your body to release, and
Yeah,
you're not getting too much in
no,
your head.
because that's not just yeah. I don't want to live in that space. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? That's like
yeah,
that's a yeah, yeah,
yeah. So you're almost like the observer, allowing these things to kind of pass
yep.
through
Just
you and come out.
let it
Yeah.
go.
And just to add, bring back what you were saying, because a lot of us, a lot of women, especially, and men, I would say, don't acknowledge that feelings actually live in our bodies. We tend to think about the feelings as mental, but feelings, once they arise, if we don't process them, they live in our body. So when you mentioned about your calves and your hips, that's what Tamara is talking about, is that, we often don't realize that feelings, unprocessed feelings, live in our bodies. And so one of the ways of getting them out is with that, movement, ease of movement. So just to highlight that a little bit, if that's something you haven't explored yet. And definitely, we would love to support you with that as well. We are looking forward to hearing about the rest of your journey. You have a few weeks left, and so we will talk to Tamara again and check
Yeah.
in with her to see how she's doing in another week.
Yes, 100%. Thank you so much for guiding me through this journey. Empower Nutrition. I mean, everything that you're doing. I mean, nutritionist, dietitian, everything here at Empower Nutrition. So I definitely recommend you guys, and I swear to God, they're not paying me for this.
Yes, it is our pleasure to work with you always, Tamara.